Thank you for coming. Um, we were saying that if this were not our session, we would have gone and met Kamal Hassan.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd rather be there too.
Yeah, yeah. But unfortunately, this happened to be our session, so we have to be here. So thank you all for being here. So let me begin from the beginning. So today we'll be discussing the book, The Remnants of Rebellion, Ponnu's debut novel. I love the cover also. It has this nostalgic feeling.
Yeah, so the cover, I cannot take credit for it at all. My publishers worked on it. But yeah, they did a good job. Yeah.
So maybe I can, those who have not read the book, I can say this is all about love, loss, and violence. Or more broadly, this is about rebellion, many rebellions actually, social, political, personal, religious. So to begin with, you have quit your job at 26. Um, you were a journalist. Then you decided to start writing the book. Then other things came. I think it took almost 10 years. You got involved in other things. You had two kids. But then you came back to this and finished the novel. It's, especially as a woman, it's an inspiring story. Because if you truly put your heart into something, you will come back to that and write. So I just want to know about that journey first, then we'll move on to.
Yeah. So you're right. I was 26, not anymore. Okay, I was once 26. I was the features editor. I was promoted as the features editor, and that was a big thing at the age of 26. And then after 2 weeks, I put down my papers because I always wanted to write this story. So this story has been with me for a very long time, and I wanted to write. So I quit my job. My editor was very helpful. He even gave me books, materials to read. He said, read this. You know, he was very excited about my writing journey. And then I started writing. I wrote about 4,000 words, and then I got stuck. So in hindsight, looking back, I think I was probably not ready enough, mature enough as a 26-year-old to embrace the big world that it has eventually come to embrace. And then, as you said, for 10 years, I did many other things. I went and did a foundation in fine arts, visual arts, fine arts. And then I had 2 daughters, and I got carried away with a lot of things, but I never revisited the book. I had those 4,000 words, that's it. And then when my younger daughter turned 1, obviously a toddler, it's not easy, running around my legs, I said, I'm going to write my book. It sounds crazy because I've got a slightly older one and a younger one. And then I started writing. And then I wrote for a few years after that, and then I finished it. But some of those things that I wrote from at the age of 26 have made it into the book. So it's been a long journey. So when I revisited the book, I had a job. I quit that job to write this book again. So now I'm jobless. So, but yeah.
You have mentioned that there are personal elements, certain incidents that happened in your grandfather's life. So I think that forms the base of the story. And of course, there are many, many, many layers to this. There is this mother-daughter relationship, which is a bit strained in the novel. Your mother is here. I can see that she is super excited and so happy and proud, feeling proud. So this personal thing is there, and of course, it could be termed as you have covered the Kerala history. And many things like you have started with wagon tragedy, then Mopila rebellion, to what happened at Talasheri police station attack, to Pulpalli, the next slide movement. Then of course there is this family, the story of 4 generation. So I think you have done extensive research. You have already mentioned the books by Ajita, or you have talked to Philip M. Prasad, Sanal Mohan. So I would like to know about the kind of extensive research you have done for this book, and also the lived experience.
So, a lot of things have made their way into the book. First of all, it's set in a Syrian Christian household. So, I'm from the community. So, lived experiences, that's number one, that have made their way into the book. So, like small observations, like, the ammachi who doesn't wear a chatta and walks around. Like, so, small, those things. And, but obviously, lived experiences and even oral stories are not enough to write a book. I'm sure there are books of that sort, but I had to sit and do research. So research and writing went hand in hand. So I obviously read a lot of journal articles and books around that time, and books related to the event. No, to give a gist, so this is inspired by a real life incident from my grandfather's life when he was a superintendent of a rubber estate in Kerala. And this was the 1960s when the Naxalbari movement was at its height. And the assistant superintendent was unfortunately stabbed to death during one of the strikes. So I have fictionalized that element. And I have also, so this story goes in two timelines. One is the 1960s that talks about the life of Isho and the politics and the life of the community back then. But I've also given it a present day timeline, and that is seen through the eyes of Eliama, who is Isho's granddaughter. So for research, I did extensive reading. I spoke to people. And one of the books that really helped me was Ajita's memoir called Kerala's Naxalbari. It's there in Malayalam and English, so you can pick it up if you want to get an insider's perspective of how the movement evolved and how the movements kind of faded away eventually. And the other book, and it also addresses a lot of caste issues. I'm sure you'll ask about that. So one book that really helped me was P. Sanal Mohan's book, Modernity of Slavery. He's a historian. So that gave an insider's perspective on the caste dynamics that have pervaded the land for the past few hundred years. So yeah, those two. So it was research, but it helped me because I was a journalist. So there's this thing, journalists know nothing about anything, so we have to ask the right questions. So I just had to ask what, why, when, who, where, how. And yeah, so it was that questioning attitude that helped me with the research.
Your novel has two protagonists. Yeah. So you told me that when you started writing, it was only Isho and the story. Then later on, the other story also came up. So first thing, I'm just curious to know why the character is named Eliama.
Okay, so Eliama, I'm sure all of you are Malayalis. So Eliama is the Malayalam word for Elizabeth. So my middle name is Elizabeth. And I'm named after my paternal grandmother, Eliama. So the thing is, okay, so there's something about names. So I was supposed to be called Ponnu Eliama Mathew. But my grandmother, she was smart. She thought, okay, a child, she'll grow up and hate me. Who wants to be called an Eliama? Eli, it could be Eli. People will obviously say Eliama, So she said, let's just stick to the anglicized version, Elizabeth. So, but even growing up, I didn't like my first name also, Ponnu. Because people don't get it. Malayalis get it. Then they ask, "Adu sherikkulla perano, veetti vilikkunna perano?" Yeah, and I said, no, that is my official name. Even my cousin for a long time, he said, no, that is not your official name. I said, that is my official name. I know what my official name is. So I was actually very averse to my first name also. Thank goodness, if it was Eliama, I would have hated it completely. But like after I grew some brains, after I was at peace with myself, I began to embrace my roots. And I left Kerala. I grew up around these parts. This is my, home turf. And I studied in St. Teresa's nearby. We would come here all the time. But I ran away from Kerala 20 years ago. And then, but living outside Kerala for a long time made me realize who I really am. And I love my name now. And I don't mind being called Eliama as well. So the natural choice for the name of the character had to be Eliama.
Is it just the name or more to I mean, between Ponnu and this character Eliama, both being artists.
So is Eliama me? No, it's not. She's a figment of my imagination, but she is very much like me. So, so while I was writing the book, a lot of the time I thought I was Eliama. I became her. Because I don't know if you have a similar feeling. Sometimes the characters live in your head. Sometimes you become the characters. My poor husband, he had to deal with multiple characters sometimes. But yes, Eliama, so, it's very natural for a reader. They'll pick up the book and think, oh, so did this happen to the author? Is this from the author's experience? Even I do that while I'm reading books. It's absolutely fair. So whatever happened to her did not happen to me. And I have a great relationship with my mother. Okay, so the mother-daughter relationship in the book is, it's not the same relationship that we have. Eliama's mother, Amma, is a very boisterous, almost an unmother-like mother. So that is definitely not from real life. So writers write not just about their real life, but also about imagined lives. But Eliama is very much like me. She is an artist. She's carefree. She is liberated. But at the end of the day, she wants to be rooted and connected to something bigger than herself.
So you have this two main characters, Isho and Eliama. One story happens in the past tense, in the 60s, and the other one, Eliama's story, in the present time. And of course, it's two timelines, two era, two places also. Yeah. One is Niranam. That's on the banks of two rivers, where Christianity or this came supposed to have. Yeah. And then the other one is in the Western Ghats. Even the color of the soil, it's different, where the British started their first rubber plantation. So it's totally different. The characters, the place, the timeline, and of course the times. See, while reading the book, what I thought was Isho was much more progressive. He could defy the customs. He married the girl he met, he loved, in spite of. He knew there could be difference or his parents may not approve, but he didn't check her caste or her social status. She was an orphan. He could marry her. And then in his life also, he kind of defied all the norms. He could get Krishnan, later on his bosom friend, to an elite school. He helped Manoj, the cook's son, in a similar way. And also Elsie. So he was there for all of them and also for the plantation workers. He stood with them. And I think he was not that too strict religious kind of person. But when we move on to the present situation, it's totally different. I don't think Eliama has not faced so much struggle. She was outside most of the time. But she's not as rooted as Isho. And of course, her grandmother could walk bare-chested freely. But when she's wearing this tank top and shorts and she's going for a jog, she had to face this piercing, this menacing look. And that too from the so-called Arsha Bharata Samskaram teams. So she had to face this, and then even in her relationships. And when it comes to her time or the present situation, the outside force or the outside people are too intruding. They are, you are mentioning about love jihad. When she and her friend Roy sitting in the tea shop, there is a kind of moral policing happening. And this person, Roy, couldn't stand this and he had to flee, abandoning her. I think Isha would have stood up for his loved one. So while reading this, and as I said, you are mapping the history of Kerala as well, and we consider ourselves as a very progressive society. Yeah. So do you think, are we really progressing?
I don't think so. Yeah, no. So I left Kerala because everyone said it was progressive, but well, if it was very progressive, I probably would have stayed here. So progressive as in what is progress? there are many markers of progress. So as an 18, 19-year-old, I would walk down this road, okay? This road is so familiar to me. And what? I would not even be wearing anything, that would show my skin. I would be wearing jeans and a top. And the male gaze was so strong that as a 19-year-old, your sense of identity is also not fully developed. And then you feel like you're doing something wrong. So that is why I left. And I went to Chennai, which is supposed to be a very conservative society, but I didn't feel that the same way. And also, I think it's worse because when they know that you're Malayali, they'll be like, Malayali, why is she dressing like that, So we are progressive on many other levels, but this, I don't know. So I don't know. I've not lived here in 20 years. I don't know if it's the same anymore. I hope it has changed. But also, the other thing I wanted to note is that sometimes the male gaze makes you question whether you're doing something wrong. And sometimes that was also the narrative. All the women I know in India have been touched inappropriately. We all have stories. And unfortunately, that is the norm. And it's like, it's okay, it happens to everybody. That is the unfortunate truth. And there is one line where Eliama says, the men are looking at her, but she's still uncomfortable. She thought she had become numb to it. I mean, that is a very sad state to be in. So, and also when a woman is touched, a lot of the time the society doesn't stand up for her. Even the women will be like, why did you wear that? Probably it's because you wore this that, you got grabbed. So is it progressive? I mean, I think the people who live here should ask that question. I don't think there is an answer to that. Well, we should try and strive to be that. Hopefully we'll bring up the next generation who won't think like that. So one example I'll give you. So in college, we were 17. Yeah, 17 I got into college, 17, 18. Girls' college, we all were sitting down and we were given sex education. And there's this old man who comes to tell us girls about sex education. And this has actually made its way into the book. So he comes, he talks about, he's got many chart papers with him. He rolls out one chart paper, and there is a picture of a woman wearing a blouse. It's just her back. It's a low-cut blouse, just the back. And he said, what do you think? Someone said, a beautiful design, because you're looking at the design. And he said, no, what will boys be thinking? Us 17, 18-year-old girls, we don't know. We're like, I don't know. He said, no, is she wearing a bra? No, this actually happened in college, and it's there in the book. And then we were shell-shocked. And he rolls out another chart paper of a woman wearing tight-fitted jeans. Question again, what will boys be thinking? There was pin-drop silence in the class. And then he rolls out another picture with a naked bottom. This is what boys will be thinking. And unfortunately, this was taught to us girls. I hope the narrative has changed. And yeah, I don't know.
No, we still have this Bangalore Padche Guttiyano.
Yes.
I think it's in the book.
It's there. So a woman who studies law will have bad temperament, and a woman who studies in Bangalore will have loose morals. But yeah, that was
still there.
Yeah, okay. So it's
she's
not
studying
progressive.
there, working there in Bangalore.
Yeah.
Okay, then there's
Gone. Yeah, she's a gone case. Yeah.
You were talking about this inappropriate touch. That's another thing I wanted to discuss. I think you have written only a few paragraphs in the book. On other topics, you have given an elaborate description. But this one thing about this thing called abuse, you have dealt with it in a very subtle manner. Still, it's so disturbing. As you said, there will not be a single woman have not gone through some kind of abuse. Yeah. So here, Eliama, she's a little girl of around 8. And it's just that you have written that the lock on her bedroom door, it's broken or missing. Missing. And then this kind of dream she's getting, disturbing dreams she's getting. And her feeling disgusted or hatred for her budding breasts. And then she deciding to sleep in the bathroom, in the bathtub. And that is close to the commode with slugs and this dampness. So I could actually feel that dampness and this creepy feeling. That is the only description. You have not gone through much detail, but you know. Every woman who reads this will know what she is going through. But luckily for her, at least her mother understood. I've known girls, I have friends where when they raise this question, their parents, even their mothers, will hush up this. Please don't talk about this. It's about family, honor, blah, blah, blah. But luckily for her. But I know this will last a lifetime, this trauma. You will not be able to overcome. You will have, we were talking about this. Before the multiplexes, while going for a movie, we'll have to think about whether you need to concentrate on the screen or about other, you know, or while traveling on the bus or train. And this is happening now also. There was this recent incident where the girl is saying, she is trying to board the train and somebody is asking, vazhi theru ennu parayunnu, kai ingane varunu. And the way the women reacted, kuda ninna സ്ത്രീകൾ അവള് അയാളുടെ കൈ പിടിച്ചു വെച്ചു, he touched my breasts എന്ന് പറയുമ്പം കൂടെ നിന്ന സ്ത്രീകളും പറയുന്നു, അല്ല അത് മാല പൊട്ടിക്കാൻ നോക്കിയതായിരിക്കും. അപ്പം മാല പൊട്ടിക്കാനാണെങ്കിൽ ഇത് പ്രശ്നമുള്ളൂ. ഇഫ് he is touching your breast, what? That's okay. ഒന്നും സംഭവിച്ചില്ലല്ലോ, you are not raped എന്നുള്ള പോലെ. And we still have this notion. So that's a powerful, impactful section in the book. So I would like to know how you decided not to go overboard, but still it's very haunting.
I didn't want to go overboard purposely because sometimes bare minimum is required, and over-explaining, I didn't want to underestimate the intelligence of the reader. The readers are intelligent and they know the undercurrents. So I just wanted, it's just a couple of paragraphs, a couple of paragraphs. But I wanted to, I'm so glad you understood that and connected with it. That means, people have, well, unfortunately, people have all experienced it in some way or the other. But I wanted to do the bare minimum and just leave it. But I wanted her mother to stand up. So this mother character, she's a woman, as I said, is very unmotherly. She is almost cruel. They've got a dog, and I don't think I want to spoil it, but yeah, they've got a dog, and she leaves the dog out, they're in the car, and they just drop the dog in the middle of the road, and they go. So she's very unmotherly, but when she needed her in this time, she actually stood up. And actually, there is a funny scene after that, So only if, in my head, it was like, only if our loved ones stood up, a lot would have changed, a lot will change. And I think it's a responsibility of this generation to stand up for the younger ones and stand up for the people who don't have that voice. It needn't be children. It could be somebody who just cannot talk. They're not in that position where they can. So I wanted, though Amma is not the most likable character, she stood up for her daughter at that time. So I think I wrote it with a certain hope and optimism. So that was me hoping. Yeah.
And what was most touching was that Eliamma didn't have to say anything. The mother just saw the bed in the tub, and she looked into her eyes and she got it. And she reacted. I hope every mother, every woman do this. When somebody is in trouble, understand it and be with them. A lot of dowry deaths could have been avoided. Because you will never say that, okay, come back. Don't be in that situation. You don't have to suffer this. But instead, we always say that, okay, you adjust. Or it's just a touch. So I'm happy that you have written about this. Another thing I wanted to, we don't have much time, it's just 30 minutes, and 5 minutes it's for Q&A. Okay, so I'll just brush upon two more things. One is caste, the way you have written about this. You were very vocal. There are many, many incidents you've written about. Krishnan is one example, the lifelong trauma he had, and the outcome, how he reacts in a certain situation, leading to killing of somebody. Then, of course, there is Amma doing the ritual cleaning of Eliama when she's playing with Manoj, who is from the... And one thing I loved about, in one of your interviews, you said lowered caste. That should be the way, not lower caste. It's lowered. We do that.
Yeah. They're not lowered. They were lowered.
Lowered.
Yeah.
And Elsie, of course, had to bear the brunt of being a pariah, plus her gender. So, and one thing I truly enjoyed was that birthday feast, where Isho literally serves kumbilil kanyi to his caste, his relatives who have this caste pride. That was like kind of dramatic, cinematic scene. So you were very vocal about this question of caste, and I think this is increasing in our society. There was this recent incident where a research scholar, where his guide is saying he's a Dalit research scholar, his guide is saying that he cannot use Sanskrit.
Yeah.
So this is happening in Kerala. Yeah. So I'm glad that you have done that in your book. Yeah. That is one thing. Okay, I'll have one more thing after answering.
So I could not talk about it because caste is such an intrinsic part of our society. And I was writing about the 1960s and even the 1920s, and it goes back. So till the 19th century, we had chattel slavery. Like people were buying and selling human beings, and we had markets for that. And a lot of Syrian Christians were involved in that. They used to do that. So technically, Syrian Christians don't have a caste, but they act with so much caste privilege. And, I grew up in the 1980s, 1990s. By then, things should have changed, but there were some observations that I have made, how people act with so much privilege. And so I could not avoid that topic. And yes, you're right. Is it getting any better? I don't know. But I have to say, Kerala has come a long way from a few years ago, thanks to social reform movements and education. But I can't say that's the case for of the other states. It's in pretty bad shape. But we have a long way to go. And the book does address that. And there is one part where, there are coconut trees, and there are coconut tree climbers, and there are tappers. And some people don't want them to get educated because they want to stay, they want those people to stay on top of the trees. And then Isho says, no, that's, what are you talking about? I want their kids to be the next prime ministers. And then another person asks, then who will climb up the trees? Then he says, let's just plant dwarf trees. It's, our mentality has to change, that's all. But I think it begins with us. It begins with us.
I think we still keep different utensils for the maids. I think that's a practice almost all households will be having.
Yeah. So we're all guilty of that, but I think it's about, we're not perfect. I'm not perfect as a human being. It's about introspection and being intuitive to our own feelings and watching ourselves, looking at ourselves in the mirror and saying, am I going wrong too? So I think the characters in the book are not black and white. The book lives in shades of gray. That's all I want to say. Yeah.
Another important question I wanted to ask, especially as a writer, that we all face nowadays when you are writing something, especially about the extreme right wing, we kind of have this self-censoring. It's easy to write a story than get it published. I have gone through that because sometimes the editors will not respond. Otherwise, they will ask, can we change this word or this paragraph or this sentence? Why should we? So this question is always there and nobody wants to take the risk. But in your book, you have created this character, Soman, And you have written about saffronization that's happening in this village. You have written, I mean, detailed description of, and of love jihad, of narcotic jihad, of these people inquiring about the caste or the religion of the guests at the resort. And of course, there is this moral policing. This is happening. So you were very, very blunt about this. So how could you do that?
That's just who I am. I don't have to try. That's yeah. Even as a child, my mother had a tough time with me because I was always rebellious. I did what I wanted to do. Yeah, but I think that's a very strong trait because I want my girls to think for themselves. I've got 2 daughters. I want them to stand up for themselves and think for themselves. So I actually didn't have to try. That's just how I am. But thank goodness, Aleph is my publisher. They said, go for it.
That's
they were
also
not
important.
afraid. Yeah, because you can write, but the publishers might be like, we're not going to do that. So I had, very strong publishers. So it's not just about saffronization. I'm criticizing every single institution, left, right, center. So I'm glad my publishers were happy and okay with it. Yeah.
Now I'll move on to questions from the audience.
I think I scared off everybody. Oh my goodness.
As I've read the book, I'll tell you that as Malayalis, we are going to enjoy this book more because she has used a lot of Malayalam words, and there are so many cultural or references which we could understand more. There are a lot of incidences, like you have written about Mohanlal and the way he is
The Munda. Yeah,
scene.
Mohanlal's
So
Munda.
you don't need to explain that. We know.
Yeah.
So there are many such incidences where we as Malayalis get connected to that.
No, I've used a lot of Malayalam words.
Lots of
And a
Malayalam
lot of the
words.
time, the publishers make that italics because it's not Malayalam. But my publisher said, let's just keep it, the usual. Because we're writing Indian English. It's ours, and it's absolutely fine. So there's no italics. So I'm glad that happened. Yeah.
And I truly enjoyed. I think you have this photographic memory. I mean, you were writing about what is written behind the lorries, sound, okay, horn, we are too, we ours too, kind of thing. And while describing the grandfather, this brute spray and brill cream, all these things were kind of nostalgic for me as well. So I thought of my grandfather using the same thing. So it's kind of shared memory.
So photographic memory can be a blessing and a curse. Yeah.
Any questions? I think we'll have time
can,
for one question.
Yeah. You can come and catch up with me afterwards. I'm free. I'm happy to eat your brains a little bit. Yeah.
So are you sure? No questions?
I scared the hell out of everybody. All right. Thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here. I think you still have time. If you can go run, you can go see Kamal Hassan. Oh, but no, my friend is going to speak next. Please stay. Do not. You have to listen to Sanjay's session. He's, yes, please do stay back. I'm going to stay too. I'm not going to watch Kamal Hassan, no.
So thank you for being here. Thank you, Ponnu. Thank you, Manorama HORTUS.
Thank you so much.